Hey there YouTube, I'm Yukitsu, this is the Yukitsu Times, welcome to my channel, welcome to a little bit of Total War Warhammer 2. So I just wanted to do a bit of a send-off to the current state of the game before the Queen and the Crone comes out, which is going to, I think, shake up High Elves in a really interesting way. Now, High Elves, I think, at current, are one of the stronger factions in some respects in the game. Just because they've got tools that can deal with everything, and they've got really strong things that have to be answered against. If you don't, for example, have an answer against Swordmasters of Hoeth, they will chop through like an entire army, basically. If you don't have something that can deal with Dragon Princes and Star Dragons and stuff like that, I have had those units by themselves basically ram through thousands and thousands of troops, well, that's an exaggeration, hundreds of troops really effectively and just destroy tons and tons of them. With the upcoming expansion, we're going to be seeing High Elves gaining some new tools. Currently, you have to use a little bit of careful positioning and stuff like that to take out heavily armored units if you've got a long range-based army. And if you don't have the ability to take them out with like Phoenix Guard, monsters can be quite a problem. They've got some new units that are able to sort of add to that. They've also added some skirmishing infantry. With Shadow Warriors, the Grey look quite interesting, and the Lithanar is looking to be possibly the best long-range assassin general in the game at this point in time, even better than any of the Wood Elf ones. So that's going to be quite interesting. Alariel, not too sure what her role in the army exactly is going to be. It does look like she might hard counter certain types of undead army potentially. You're also seeing some interesting defensive options with the Regiments of Renown that filled in some of the gaps that High Elves lacked before. But the Handmaidens of the Everqueen are going to be nice. They provide a long-range form of anti-armor that's going to be quite powerful. They've got the Handmaidens Hero that's going to be anti-armor, anti-monster. I think they're going to be very, very potent at just sort of you right-click one of those guys on a monster and don't care if they run away or if they charge into you. Like, it doesn't matter. Either way, you're going to be able to deal with them because they've got anti-large in melee as well. And you're going to just be seeing the High Elves able to deal with a lot heavier units at range. Now, those units are prohibitively expensive, but if you're only microing, say, one of those units of Handmaidens, or you've chosen the elite version, it's not going to be too hard to point them sort of at the correct type of enemy unit. Dragon Princes as well, they've got a Regiments of Renown that's got the anti-large feature, giving High Elves a much-needed anti-large cavalry. Previously, their cavalry options was not how you would go about doing that. They had the tools to defeat monsters. They have tons of tools, in fact, to defeat monsters. It wasn't their cavalry. Now they have got a cavalry unit that can just charge into some... charge straight into a unit of, say, Grail Knights or whatever, and pretty much just wreck them. They could even go into some Demigryph Knights or something like that and probably wreck them. Their stats are pretty good looking. So this fleshes out the High Elf roster in a way that makes them quite powerful. I think that they'll be a lot stronger as a result of this, just because they're going to be able to do, like, right now they're able to do everything in their own particular way. But once that update hits, I think they're going to be able to do everything in every sort of way, which is kind of crazy to think about. Like, their anti-armor missile unit isn't even a Regiments of Renown. It's just something that they can have. The only problem with the Handmaidens, again, they cost 1,100 per unit, which is, like, let's take a look at Thunderers, for example, which are much, much more durable and probably a stronger unit overall. Let's see here. Where the hell are some dwarves here? Clan Angrons are dwarves. Good enough. So, like, we can take a look at their ranged units, and we can get down to their armor-piercing ones. The Thunderers, they're 700 points. And realistically speaking, I would say that these guys have some advantages over the Sisters, or the Handmaidens of the Everqueen. Now, admittedly, the Handmaidens of the Everqueen, if I recall correctly, have something like 36 ranged damage, but or 32 range damage or something like that. It's something very, very high with a range of 180, so they're going to be a very powerful option regardless, but it's going to be interesting to see just how good they actually are, if they're worth that cost, or if they just don't have the ability to fire enough arrows into the enemy for that cost to justify itself. After all, like, we saw with the Wood Elves, like, you can have an armor-piercing, really expensive unit of Way Watchers with 190 range, good missile damage at 29. They just don't kill enough units to justify their cost. They're also 1,100 points. Although, admittedly, if I recall correctly, the Handmaidens of the Everqueen come in the same unit size as the Scouts. I think they come with 60. I'll have to double check that once it comes out. I have not actually gotten my hands on the sort of thing there. So let's take a look at what we can get from a quick battle here. So yeah, like I'm really thinking that High Elves are going to be just beyond broken once that patch hits, because they're strong now. Dark Elves are also quite strong, and they're getting some interesting options, but I don't know if they're as strong as what the High Elves are getting. Okay, so let's go ahead and select High Elves here, our favorite. One of the other things is you don't necessarily need to take the Princess if you want to go for a ranged build anymore, but let's go ahead and do a send-off of the typical sort of way that I would play this. I don't really need the Talisman of Loic here. Oh, we're going High Elf versus High Elf here. Oh, High Elf versus Dark Elf. Okay. Interesting. Definitely want High Magic here. We'll go ahead and get the Chariot, which is what I typically like getting here. And I think we'll continue getting, even though it's no longer very good, the Tempests. So I might want to keep Hand of Glory here. Actually, I've been kind of finding it a little bit better and a little bit better, but it's still pretty weak. I don't know. We'll toss it, I guess. And then for items, we go the Starwood Staff. What map are we on here? Pretty open one, Voids of Hellfen. Go ahead and get 2 units of Swordmasters here. Am I worried about monsters right now? Probably, but get 1 unit of Dragon Princes. Get a nice lineup of archers here. Get 3 of them. Get 4 Spearman units. We'll get 1 Bolt Thrower potentially. I don't know if I need the Bolt Thrower, really. I feel like I want a little bit more cavalry, actually. So what we could do is sort of streamline our front line here a little bit here. We could go ahead and get, say, 3 units of these guys and then 3 units of these guys. So we've kind of got like a better best of both worlds. We could also just do 1 unit of Swordmasters, honestly. Swordmasters are so expensive that you often just want to rely on 1 unit if you can get away with that. Alright, so I think we'll go with a unit of Illyrian Reavers here. I don't actually use them that often, but I actually quite like them. Could go with 2 more units of Spears if I really wanted to. They're still pretty bad. Could also get 1 of these guys. I don't know. Since we are going for a missile-type build, though, I think we'll go with 1 more of these guys. Then we'll get some veterancy for our front line. Veterancy for these guys. And we'll just fill out the rest of them that. So 3 Chevron. Sure. Yeah, it should be fine. Give us battle to start. Now, our army only has 3 good units, the General, the Dragon Princes, and the Swordmasters, but you can get a lot done with those 3 units, in all honesty. And as well, the Lothran Seaguard with shields are not a weak unit either. They're more than capable of contributing to a fight. I didn't take any artillery this match, which might be a mistake, though. We'll see how that goes. I don't know. If I see any Dread Knights or something like that, I'm going to have to Dragon Breath them, I think. Now, for the Dark Elves, they are getting a lot of units that sort of have lower armor. I'm not sure if I like that. They've already got plenty of high damage, low armor units that can kind of move quickly and deal tons of damage, so them getting more of that doesn't really feel like it helps them too much. They are getting some interesting Cold One Riders, if I recall correctly, as well. Hellebron is looking not necessarily like my favorite type of lord either, so I'm not necessarily sure what she's going to be up to. She basically looks like a really high DPS, fragile glass cannon, which is not what you want your general to be necessarily. And I don't think she can fight something like Grimgore, for example, despite her high damage. I'm pretty sure she'd just start clinking against his armor and then die, so it'd be kind of interesting to see how that all pans out. Alright, let's get you guys out. Nice thick line there, thin line there. Gonna turn off skirmish mode. We're gonna go with a line of spearmen out front there. And I want to be able to sort of pick and choose where the Swordmasters are going. Alright, so that's all fine. We're going to put our Dragon Princes out in the sides here. Don't want them necessarily being visible to our opponent there. And we're going to go with the Illyrian Reavers. I think they'll be hidden if I put them back behind here, but I'm not 100% sure about that. Depends on where my opponent sets up everything, so could be a bad spot for them. I don't want to Vanguard into somewhere visible, really. This might have been a bad map for them. You know what? I'm going to put the Dragon Princes actually back here in the marsh area, and then we're going to put the Illyrian Reavers sort of up here. more likely that I'll encounter shades or some random bullshit like that just in there, but let's get you over here, mage over here. So this is going to be sort of like my typical build for this era of the game, but I'm going to be switching it out a little bit once those new units come in, because it'll let me sort of have options that I didn't have before. I'm really liking the way that that new Spearman Regiments of Renown looks. It's going to be taken by like everybody, I think, where it adds in like a plus 12% damage resistance to all of the units within a radius around it. Like, that ability is huge. Probably actually want to be more central here. Alright, so Malekith is indeed up on Seraphon. Unfortunately, I do not have a humongous amount of Winds of Magic here. Now, I would love to be able to do an Overcast Tempest here, but if I recall correctly, it costs like 16 or something ridiculous like that. Okay, so I'm just going to hope that I can get a little bit more of the stuff there. Okay, I'm going to fire this right at Malekith in his stupid face, I think. I think he's casting something, I can't tell what it is though. I don't even think I hit him there. Oh yeah, I did, okay. Yeah, I think I only hit him with like one bolt there. See if I can get him to panic a little bit there. Spear's on the move on the left here. Alright, let's get him that. Get him with the breath here. Okay, and we're going to take our Swordmasters off to the right flank here. So actually, I hate the fact that this breath weapon never seems to work for me. I'm going to go in with this here. Okay, let's go ahead and charge that. Okay, so did not charge that correctly. That should be fine though. What did I apotheosis on? Alright. Well, Malekith's actually almost dead here. We're probably okay. So one of the nice things going on here is that my, like, units are actually... Oops, that was the wrong thing. My units are actually doing a pretty good job here of just cleaning out the front lines here. Swordmasters have done their work over here. Great. I'm going to run down this unit over here. Reavers, get over there. Alright, and it's looking like we're going to break through on a couple of spots here. Alright, let's get you out of here. Alright, let's get on these guys. I'm gonna actually fire at these guys in the back here. You get these guys away. Let's keep these guys out of the fight here as best as I can. Blade Wind not really going to be that effective in that situation. Actually, these Swordmasters can get back to here, I think. Alright, let's get you back to there. Still continuing to try and hunt down Malekith here with our general. And Yeah, we're doing a pretty good job of that, I'd say. Alright, Lothar Seaguard back here. You back here. Looks like my opponent's stuff has run out there, so that's all pretty good. Oh, some of my units are running, that's fine though. Some of his units are coming back into the fight here. Alright, let's get these guys into the fight here. You know what, we'll heal our Swordmasters. I'm not sure they're going to actually get much health out of this, but be good to get our damage resistance up anyway. Malekith's still trying to run from me. Let's try and just Dragon Breath him. Should be a kill there. And if not... Damn it. Fire, damn you. Alright, we're stuck in this fight here, unfortunately, but, Alright. That's a Pyrrhic victory, really? Well, that went really well for us. I think our opponent was over-relying on Malekith and didn't realize just how heavily you can sort of cheese Malekith off a field there. Yeah, our 1 unit Swordmaster is 58 kills, Dragon Prince is 82. Our Princess basically beat the crap out of Malekith, so that's probably embarrassing for him. He did get 89 kills on the Targanet Executioners, but he was chopping through like a defensive line of Spearmen who were just there to defend, while my other units, like my Lothar and Seaguard with shields here, were doing a pretty good job of doing things. Now, ideally speaking, later on, I would like to have things that can kill the War Hydra a little bit more efficiently, and obviously, like, Malekith somehow got away alive, which is really annoying, but things that can kill the War Hydra a little bit more easily, things that can kill the Hargoneth Executioners more easily. I'm not necessarily sure if I'm convinced that the price point of those new units is going to make it so that I want to use those types of units, though. But either way, this strategy works pretty well for now. It's going to be interesting to see how it fares against Dark Elves when the patch hits, but I suspect that Dark Elves are still going to come into games against High Elves and not want to take lots of those low-toughness squishy troops. Like, even though he was using a heavy armor-type build, I had 4 units of archers. And an archer general, so that's going to let me sort of just scythe through like lightly armored units if I'm paying attention really, really efficiently. And if that's happening to his line, then he's in a lot of trouble. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing to see exactly what's going to change once the patch hits. But yeah, this is a bit of a send-off to the current way things are. I hope you found this video enjoyable, and of course, as always, hope to see you guys all next time.